nurses, you don't have masks. Why do they get to come? Why do they get to sit at the seat at their table? Denver is the only city with a fucked up charter that prohibits any type of prosecution for an officer's wrongdoing. Like, there's nothing we can do about it because it's literally baked into our city charter. So, I mean, getting them to vote no on PPA is a step, but, like, that's literally the tip of the iceberg. We've got so much work to be done. I'm getting kind of
aside from the fact that a vote yes on the PPA is a slap in the face to not only all of us here and everyone not here, all of the other government workers, first line workers, but also after a week of Denver Police Department gunning down 2 people on 2 separate occasions, one being of the same family of another man they gunned down only 5 years ago, and not saying a word about it other than officer-involved shooting, means we murdered someone and we're not going to give you any more information on it. Police officers should never kill anyone. Police, I see so many people making the excuse that they have to shoot when they feel like their lives are in danger. They are trained to de-escalate situations, not to kill people. And if you shoot someone in the forehead, I don't believe that your life is in danger. If you have time to aim and gun someone down on a public street in their forehead, that's an execution. So to come here and to have Paul Hazen inside that building right now, giving an interview about why he loves this bill and thinks it should be passed and why his officers deserve it, when they still won't give us the identity of the second person they murdered this week, is incredibly disrespectful to everyone here, and he should be ashamed of himself. He walked inside here with his head down, didn't say a word, and I hope he comes back out while everyone is here, because he needs to be asked. Why did your officers shoot a man in the forehead and have not released body cam footage? Why are they allowing media to spread news about unconfirmed reports of what he did to solicit being murdered, as if there's an excuse for them to execute someone on a public sidewalk? That could have been any of us, and it's something for them to expect us to fund them to execute indigenous people?
Nah.
Outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And I truly hope Paul Hazen makes his way back out here so we can all ask him why he has not condemned his officers for shooting someone in the head on a public street and not releasing any information on what could have really happened, doing a 5-minute press conference and thinking that's enough and we should be okay with them killing people.
We need to know why Paul Hazen, why do we always have to force you all into these types of resolutions or actions? Why do we have to force you into an apology? It should not take a crowd of constituents showing up at your front door to get you to act like a decent human being.
We will remember every single city council member tonight that votes yes on this bill. They think that we aren't informed, either because we're young people or we don't pay enough attention, and that's why I love to see all these friendly faces out here and see so many of you in actions. And just being here and letting them know that you're paying attention, I hope they feel ashamed, I hope they feel pressured to answer to the people, and I hope that they know I want all of them on their toes. I want all of them to know that we are going to remember every word they say. We're going to remember every way they vote for a bill that endorses brutality, endorses people killing us. You guys know how much tear gas canisters cost? They're going to have both been physically injured by not less than lethal use of force, and I mean long-lasting effects of this. My breathing capacity has never been the same since I was inhaled out of 3 tear gas canisters directly for holding a sign on a public street.
I have felt like chemical burns that lasted almost a week. Like, I have gluten intolerance, and basically felt like my hormones, my insides, everything was out of whack. Like, if I'm being completely transparent with you guys, my body felt like it was like gone, or like it felt like it was in shock. The moments after these canisters, these weapons are deployed on you, like, you don't think about rivers coming out of your face. I'm ethnic. I have like a lot of sorry.
I think my first response was, you think I've never been through this before, you dumb motherfuckers? I dare you to do it again.
Opening my backpack, walking, like I was using Uber and Lyft drivers do it, like just walking.
No, we're not going to pay for their tear gas canisters so all of us can continue to get hurt for holding signs on a public street. It's public record. You can see what brand they use. You can see how expensive each one of them is, and for them to fire those indiscriminately into a crowd because they're intimidated by people that call out their corruption. That's what this bill is. It's trying to give officers a raise so they feel more secure and they don't feel like their ability to be corrupt behind closed doors is threatened when it is and it should be.
just say that they're not intended for you. Point blank.
They specifically say that they cause reproductive issues. They are very clearly marked on the label, and even the company that makes them advises that you do not use them unless it is absolutely necessary, which I don't think it's necessary for a group of people like this standing on a street with a sign demanding answers.
I mean, I don't see any dangerous people out here right now. I haven't seen anyone dangerous. Like, I mean, if people telling you about their concerns, expressing
They don't know I'm a world leader of
with how the government is being ran,
well-known
if that
organized
scares
gang.
you need a new job.
Only
You
they
don't need to be doing it. You are not cut out for this profession.
Those people up there in the white shirts, they know.
I know everyone here loves candy. We all love
They
candy.
know. I had to retrain them all.
One of the only people in city council that's actually advocating for us, which is their job. We elect these people. We pay for their houses. And to have Candy, the only one even being present in person, it's such a huge slap in the face beyond their voting, beyond the disgusting words that they use, Amanda Sandoval. The fact that none of them are present here really shows how little they care.
They have the same agency as Candy. They have the same access to that building that we all do right now. So in COVID, like I'd love to ask them all, like, where are you? Show up. Your people have been demanding answers and demanding action for months now. Like, I mean, and some even longer. The indigenous community, the Chicano community, Black lives have literally mattered, and they're literally the only ones to get it. Me and Oz can sit here and talk about this a lot.
We would love, like I said to a couple of you earlier, Afro Liberation Front acts as an org as for logistical reasons. We can put things like this together. Also because activism is scary, and we're aware of all the risks, and we're okay with being the faces that take that on if we can empower you guys. It is scary. Same level of paranoia that Echo does, because we do get followed, and you never know what they're going to make up and shoot you for. So,
but we love to empower.
We love empowering you guys, and we're only empowered by you showing up, and that's why we do this. So, we were going to open it up if anyone has something to say. We would love to amplify your voices. If not, we can keep talking too, but I'm sure someone here has something to say. If you're angry about something, if you're angry about the 2 murders that happened this week by DVD,
We're all
if you
products
have...
of this system and the trauma, like I was just saying to us earlier, like they're literally like trauma machines. That's all they need. That's all. There's so many purposes to say. Like literally raise your hand if you've been traumatized right now. Yeah, I feel you. So I mean some of us here are facing eviction. Like our government is not showing up for us. And we would love to, like, share this platform with you. If you want to come up, you want to speak on this, if you want to talk about how it affects you personally, about why you think council should vote no for this outrageous agreement that was made in secret, we want to invite you to share.
Yeah, we're here to amplify your guys' voices. If no one's comfortable, we'll keep talking too, but I do think it's really important to humanize people's stories so that we can all understand what people are going through individually and why we need them to vote no on this bill. I know some of you out here have to be affected by the lack of funds that we're dealing with from COVID and not being able to work and not being funded. And I see Keezy's up here, and we love Keezy. So yeah, Keezy! So I can think of 1,000 reasons why this, but I'll give you 30 quick reasons because I know all of our attention spans are really short right now. Can you all hear me? Okay. Alright, so the first reason is because teachers in Denver do not make enough money. Okay? 9% police budget raise could go towards teachers. Better quality of life. Do you know what a better quality of life means? They can educate students better. The second reason is because Denver has a large unhoused population. Right? Echo and us touched on that, but that's true. If you look anywhere you go in the city, this money can be used to help people who are experiencing homelessness. And the third reason is this money can go into the community to give more resources to children. Right? We can use more community centers. We can use more programs that give students another alternative approach to college. There are so many things that this money could be used for. And I know 3% doesn't sound like a lot of money, right? Does anyone know how much 3% of the budget is?
3% of what is it? $1.6 billion?
You're smart. Good job. So, about $1.6 million. Billion, sorry.
That's the current budget, I believe.
Yeah, so
The full.
It's okay. You know it's a lot of money. I don't think any of us have that in our bank accounts right now. I don't know, but I don't. So that money can be used for a lot of things.
1 billion should be
So
a
we have to
percentage,
put
should
pressure on
be
council
a
members,
million.
Okay.
So 3 million
Even
easily.
after today, we still have to put pressure on them because there are a lot of things that can change. All right. Yeah. So I'm done.
Thank you so much for sharing. I Cut The Plastic, would you like to say?
Yeah. It's really Brian.
I know, Brian. I just don't want to be government out there.
Plug your street.
Yeah. So I don't even need that because I'm louder than that damn microphone. Sorry about that. But when we talk about less than lethal weapons, how many of you were out the first week of the police riots? And I specifically call them police riots because they were the ones who were firing on the civilian population, who were assaulting people. And I do have a YouTube channel, Cut The Plastic. On that channel, I saved a really nice clip of me holding a bullet, an entire city council meeting, a rubber bullet, and talking about how I had been assaulted 13 times in 3 days. One of those times I was lit up just across the park, smudging sage. There are, to my understanding, in excess of 2,000 complaints that were filed directly to the Office of the Independent Monitor for the assaults by those in the name of Denver police. And when I say in the name of, I want to remind you that the civil liabilities that will be paid with our tax dollars were enacted by Jefferson County, Aurora County, Denver County, Adams County, Arapahoe County, Douglas County. The list goes on. The people who are utilizing these less than lethal weapons don't understand how to use them effectively. On Wednesday at approximately 5:05 p.m., in less than 30 seconds, the Denver Police Department rolled up on a human being having a mental health breakdown, standing in the middle of an intersection. This person had several interactions that were nonviolent and non-assaultive by fellow citizens who walked up, engaged in conversation, and were clearly able to identify that this person was having a mental health crisis. Denver police, however, did not know how to grab a taser. They did not know how to engage in that situation, and instead, in less than 30 seconds time frame, and when the real story comes out, it's significantly less than that, they fired 6 rounds, one going directly to the middle of the forehead. That was less than 5 days ago this happened, okay? Again, over 2,000 complaints about police brutality in the middle of this summer alone. And they're asking for more money without less, and by the way, there's already conversations, right? The STAR program, what is the work of Dasher doing? Taking police officers away from 911 calls, teaching the dispatch units, which are not peace officers sworn oath to the Constitution. They determine who goes, fire, emergency, social services. It is not a requirement for a police officer to answer every call. And yet, in the freest country in the world, they want permission to not kill us, but to assault us. This is what you're facing right now. I don't know how many of you have been out through Cap Hill, through the near downtown areas, and talked to people in their houses, standing in their front yards. Because it happened a lot this summer. Hundreds of people in their own homes going through detailed cleanings because the air conditioning or the heating HVAC systems blew all those chemicals into the buildings. And I know this is an issue because back in 2015, when a group of Black Lives Matter protesters wanted to take Colfax to federal, the heads of the Auraria campus had to shut down the HVAC systems before protesters were allowed to be shot and gassed in the middle of the Colfax Bridge. I was there, and I happened to talk to the gentleman who at the time was named Jerry, in charge of all the HVAC at the Auraria campus the next day. I don't understand how this is secret. I don't understand how all of you are not out right now utilizing your social media to activate all the people you met this summer that live in all the buildings surrounding us. How can city council not have their Zoom meeting so swarmed and so overwhelmed tonight that it actually happens, right? We know what denial of services are. It's when every citizen gets on the network to demand to be a participant, and they overwhelm the system so it crashes. If city council can't have a meeting on Zoom tonight because so many people are trying to get in that the system crashes, then they can't vote on that tonight. These are things you have the capacity to encourage others to do as direct action over the next 90 minutes or so. Okay? You have the ability to flood this building because as long as city council is happening, this building must remain open.
Yes.
And so you can go in there. You can go fill City Hall. You can go fill the hallways of this building, and you can tell all your friends to get their butts down here. No issue like this should be moved through so quickly that those who read the minutes, who pay attention to the council meetings, don't know about 3 separate calls. Yeah, they're afraid of the people power.
Well, Jesus is in there. I hope we all see him inside. I hope we all see him.
The good news is there's one less door for him to come out.
Thank you.
I got no more.
Fucking house. We pay for this building.
Yeah, and you're gonna pay to get shot some more too, because they're gonna approve this unless there's a mass action tonight.
Aside from the mass action, like I said earlier, we will remember every single one of you. Wherever they're going to hear us, they will come to city council and do their jobs.
And there's still lots of time.
Big old door.
Fucking perfect timing.
That was Orwellian, wasn't it? Close the gates on us.
We want to flood this building. This is the people's building. We pay for this building. We should be utilizing it. And I would love to see every single one of you continue to come back out here so that they do know we're watching.
So there's a flood the council meeting tonight, council chambers. You can also go hang out outside of each of the council members' house.
You know, they can't see us all because they're not here, which is why we will just quietly take note of everyone that votes yes on this bill and stay posted.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
We'll
too
take
quiet.
action. It's not just meeting here and putting pressure on them. I mean, if that doesn't work, I guess we're going to have to take it to their doors.
Apologies for my They thought
I would go to one of those houses right now if I knew where to go and yell and chant so that they would not vote today.
Next week. Stay next week, Brian.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned, everybody. We're watching these votes. They know we're watching. But I also love that idea. Can we not get in this building anymore?
Oh yeah, you can. That's the door.
This is open, you guys. We are going to go in. I'm really hoping we come across Paul Payson. Like, I'd love to just ask him how he feels about his officer shooting someone in the forehead.
Before they get any ideas, if that door is open, we need to start making our way.
If y'all want to get loud in there, if y'all want to dance in there, let's do it all.
If you have prescription marijuana on you, make sure you have your marijuana license on you, and you will have full authority to carry it in the building.
Also knives.
But no knives.
Skateboards, knives,
I have a car.
I'm a bartender.
Can I go put my shit in the car?
Every time I go to pay a parking ticket or something, I'm like, damn it.
Anybody else need to discharge weapons before they go in? I'll put them in my car. Do not leave them in the bushes. They will. If that should be able to go inside. That's your mode of transportation. Yeah, you have a right to go in. It's not a weapon. But if you have knives, mace, yeah, you might not get it back tonight, but I'll give it back to you. You need to take my number too, but not while I'm online. Do not hide your weapons in the bushes. They will take them. I will stash your knives and extracurricular things in my car if you need it. Yes.
What's up? Nice to see you. How are you doing?
That's Ryan.
B. Brian with a boy, as a boy, aka Cut The Plastic. I'm not hard to find.
Yeah, I saw. I looked up the stream already.
All right, cool. So yes, I will get. Anybody got knives on them? Weapons they don't want to take inside?
City council meeting starts at 5:30. We'll wait until all of you guys are ready to go in so you can go now.
Anybody got any contraband they want to take it out? No contraband on you that I can put in my car? Hello. Good. How are you doing? That's the 5 o'clock bells indicating of council meeting. Excuse me, sir. Has anybody wished you a happy fuck the cops day yet today? Fuck the cops. Happy what cops day? Fuck the cops. There's one knife. Two. Anybody got weapons on them? I'm ditching them all in my car. If you have knives or contraband and cannot go into City Hall, I will put it in my car right now. Mace, other items. Now that's legal. I've got marijuana on my brain. Till I get some, I won't be the same. Did you know there used to be water fountains at the city hall? Used to be. 2 at every pillar. So I'm gonna go into city hall. By the way,
driveway for a brief little bit, but it was her husband that did most of the talking. Are you filming right now?
I am, and I was there yesterday. No, I'm serious.
So should we tell them we're changing our tampons?
Yes, that would be a good answer. And while you may be offended by that, you should never have to tell a security guard.
Tampons. I'm all about the shop.
That's cool. But in this day and age where we live in a world where the private security guards who are supposed to make sure that we're not carrying thermonuclear detonators into a building should have no right to know if you need to use the bathroom or not, or nor me. And so we are fighting a process where the security guards at various buildings have made it their practice to deny people access if they do not indicate why. And that gentleman said that because I actually told the sheriff, who didn't want to let me into a building, that I needed to change my tampon, and that was the reason I was coming into the building.
Explosive diarrhea.
Yeah. And that was very, very like, well, why didn't you just say that in the beginning, is what he said to me. And I was like, you're a fucking idiot. Yes. All right, folks, we're going to go check it out. City Council is inside. Or not. Has anybody wished you all a happy Fuck the Cops Day? Oh, look at this. You know who you have to add to that?
Yeah,
Antonio Black Bear.
I do.
He shot.
I was the one, yeah.
That's that. And we should be showing a test for that in the next 72 hours. Ooh. That's good. That's a great quote.
Ida knew what she was talking about.
Oh. There you go. If they ask you why you're inside, coming in, don't tell them. See if they don't let you in. I might have a civil suit for you. Let's go find out what happens. On camera live. The city hall going on. No knives, no guns, no pepper spray. Good morning. Oh, wrong side. I'm a visitor, not an employee. I said I'm a visitor, not an employee. Oh, look at that. I'm sorry? E-cigarette? If I was carrying cannabis into the building... I'm sorry? I'm sorry, I was asking you a question. If I was to carry cannabis in the building, how would I do that? I'm sorry? Sir. Did you have information on... Oh, you're the supervisor, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Your employee does not seem to know how to allow people to carry cannabis into the building.
Say that again?
Your employee does not seem to know how to educate somebody on how to carry their cannabis into the building.
Yes, he do. Because it's been on his own station.
But he just said he didn't know. He said I had to talk to you. So I'm telling you, he doesn't know how to tell somebody that they know how to carry their cannabis in the building.
Okay, I will talk to him, but he know. I know he know.
Thank you. I know he know. That's what she said. I know he know.
Why are you coming back?
Because I can. To see what's going on.
I don't recognize a single person. I recognize 2 people out of the giant crowd.
Oh, there's a reason for that.
What is that reason?
Afro Liberation Front is the one that hosted the Valley.
Okay. So it's all random people.
So it's Echo. And everybody's been told about Echo. And Echo hasn't come out and confessed and redeemed. So a lot of people...
Yeah. Was that yours?
Yeah, I forgot some coins.
I took the rest of it. Yeah, I get it.
Well, listen. Do you want a screw?
I mean, what's the context there?
There's a screw in my hand.
Oh, I gotta get some.
Drank.
Is it just red?
I don't know. I'm going up to council. I want to sign up to bitch about something for this afternoon. I always forget what floor I'm going to.
I ask the council today to stop dragging our feet and act on the will of your people. I ask you to commit to defunding the DPD by at least 50% to fund community programs, starting with expanding those already formed and forming within the community, such as Dasher Star program and other community aid and service programs. I ask that you pick up your feet on these issues of great importance to the will of your community. I'm asking you today for the commitment to focus on the reality at hand and your community and your commitment to support your community in this effort for restoring human life, rights, and dignity.
HP
And I'm asking you to support these efforts to heal our community and to fund our human rights of fair and affordable housing, healthcare, and education. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next up, we have Jesse Ferris.
Good evening, members of council. Can I be heard?
Yes, go ahead, Jesse.
I'm Jesse Ferris. I'm representing the Denver Homeless Out Loud, Black Star Movement, Cut The Plastic Positive Action Commitment, Local Change, as well as the Unity Party of Colorado and My High Noon. And I will be running for the next mayor in 2023. And I live in District 8, Councilman Curtis, on communities of color, Black communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Can y'all hear me? Excellent. Thank you for your time this evening. I'm going to make 2 points. The first one is less important, so I'll start there. To echo what other folks have said, clearly City Council was left out of this bargaining agreement. There's an obligation to bargain in good faith. When the city attorney was asked, have any police officers, DPD officers, been furloughed in 2020? He responded no, with the follow-up question of, why is that I can't answer? Until we have an answer to that question, no agreement exists in good faith. If you don't understand the benefits, of which not being furloughed is one, we agree that's more money in your paycheck. This agreement is garbage. For the folks who stood on process and have said, this isn't the right way to do things, this is your perfect out. This isn't the right way to do things. So think about that as an option to politically convenience yourself away from this collective bargaining agreement and let it go to arbitration. My second point, which is more important, is that DPD murders people. And I don't think it's appropriate to salary increase folks who shot someone 5 days ago.
2 days ago.
Mr. Wrecker's family is rife with tragedy. His cousin Paul Castaway was murdered by the DPD in 2015. What we're going to do now for the rest of my time is we're going to sit in silence until that little clock winds down, and we're going to think about all the community members that aren't here with us because DPD has extrajudicially murdered them, and the fact that many of those murderers are still on the streets, out harassing homeless folks, out harassing the poor, out harassing Black people. And I would just like to use this time for everyone to sit in silence and reflect on if that's something that you want to rubber stamp or not.
This is our council. They won't even give that minute of silence.
City council members.
That's right, that woman had a minute left and they killed her time. It's a civil rights violation.
For taking that moment of silence. I believe moments of silence actually allow us to work not just from our minds, but our hearts. I am a Denver resident in District 10, and I'm born and raised in Denver. I'm a part-time bookkeeper and administrator, as well as a part-time yoga teacher. One of my employers as a yoga teacher was the city and county of Denver until the pandemic hit. I want to just bring up this small point of a letter I received from the city and county of Denver regarding why I have still not gotten one of my jobs back. Luckily, I have other jobs, so I'm doing okay, but our most recent update reflects a projected shortfall of $259 million in 2020. Across the city, all agencies have made cuts and adjustments of all kinds to adjust and reduce spending. I am urging you each to consider that statement when you vote on this collective bargaining agreement, because it is telling me the exact opposite. It's telling me that we will actually continue to invest in our police, and when our communities are calling for the exact opposite. I also just want to speak for a moment about trauma, and something that you work with as a yoga teacher and different healing modalities. And the way trauma works is when your sympathetic nervous system is kicked up because of a violent event or a life-threatening event. If you can't fight or run away, you freeze, and that trauma sticks with you. And I bring this up because I believe that every single one of us are enduring traumas. And specifically, there's an insidious type of trauma that allows us to normalize violence. It allows us to not speak from our hearts, but only from our minds. And so I am asking for each of you to please take a moment of pause to light the fire under each of your butts, to choose to not vote for keeping the police force as is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Michael Crawford.
Hello, City Council. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah,
Did they just change the pictures that wouldn't show the Black Lives Matter kids?
said, I'd like to start off with the problem with how we deal with our homeless population. And it is very apparent to see where we just dump them. It is in the poorer neighborhoods, the more black and brown side of town. And I know without anyone's consultation near Blair Caldwell, where there's already homeless there, I know the mayor was talking about just once again dumping them over there. And I'd also like to talk about this CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. I think it is absolutely negligible and makes, not only is it immoral, it's incorrect, it's wrong. Makes absolutely no sense to give these people more money when everybody else is suffering. It makes absolutely no sense. They can justify everything they do with, crime rates and everything else. You wouldn't have, crime is a societal condition. Crime is a societal condition. We are in the midst of a pandemic where our federal government does not care whether its citizens live or die. So it makes absolutely no sense to continue to fund the arm of the ruling class, because that is how they are acting. That's how they've always acted. It's just baffling. It's not, but it kind of is, to see that we are in this position. And with the rise of neo-fascism, we are already a totalitarian state. We've been a police state for a very long time. And, it will get worse if this happens. Whoever said that was right in a sense, but not in the way he thought. It will get worse because you'll have even more deaths, even more state-sanctioned deaths. And not only state-sanctioned, you will see the rise of white vigilantism, because white vigilantism goes hand in hand with police violence. Thank you.
Thank you. We next up have Tondo Delaney.
Hi. Thank you for your time. My name is Tom Delaney. Police do not prevent violent crimes. Violent crime is prevented stable employment. Violent crime is prevented by stable, accessible housing. Violent crime is prevented by quality mental and physical health care. Violent crime is prevented by education. Violent crimes are prevented by quality of life that become increasingly harder and harder for Americans to achieve. Violent crime is prevented by eliminating scarcity poverty. Police do not solve crimes. According to rape, abuse, and incest national work, 6 out of 10 1,000 rapes receive conviction. According to the Pew Research Center, fewer than half all violent property crimes acquitted, and fewer than half of reported crimes are solved. In fact, research at the University of Utah says that of all violent crime in the United States, police solve only 2% of cases. So what is the purpose of police in society? To dance online videos? To feel threatened with fast food and feeds? Supposed to raise the comments on social media? Or to harass and intimidate women text messages? No. The past few months have made it perfectly clear the purpose of police in society. To exist to protect their property. Police are metropolitan and don't serve people. They serve capital. And any threat capital to money, property, or to the most part, or real or imagined, they are to respond to with this. They are here to bully and intimidate anyone who threatens independence and keep out of sight from vulnerable members of society. By reorienting society, putting people and capital as second, and resolve from police scrutiny, systemic rate of oppression by armed and dangerous thugs that simply represent the law. I ask City Council to reject this collective agreement and instead divert the entirety of PD funds to workers, those struggling in society. Thank you very much, but I see you still next time.
Thank you. We have Walter Heidenfelder up. Walter.
Walter.
Okay, there you go, Walter.
Okay. All right. Is it okay if I start over again?
Go ahead.
The first, yes, and I started by saying that I sincerely appreciate City Council taking the time to listen to us, the citizens.
Before you
The
ignore
question of the day is, should Denver cops get a raise in pay? And a lot of us would say, no, not now, not until we see some major changes made. Such as the issue of police overreaction resulting in brutality, injury, and sometimes death. The city supports team assistance response program looks like a step in the right direction. Sorry, I lost you.
Oh, you're still on, Walter, go ahead.
I'm still on. Okay, thank you very much. The assistance response program seems to be a good program that should be funded, at least to some extent, from the money that comes from that is in the police budget. So instead of giving the police department police a raise, some of the budget should be reallocated to the STAR program. On the other hand, the question has come up, should we hold cops accountable for the way they respond to calls? Accountable, that is, financially. And I believe that should not be. When cops respond to calls, we want to see well-trained professional people, not military goons, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense to have the cops' families financially liable. It's not fair, to the families to have that situation. Cops should be individually responsible for themselves. City Council should develop a plan of improvement for the police department with benchmarks that have to be met before considering any raises. The Police Protective Association should be decertified, and police compensation should be handled with the same system as other city employees. Bad conduct and poor performance should not be tolerated, and it's obvious that the police union has many times protected cops who should be fired. City Council, take control.
Thank you. That's
Before the
the
city
time that we
president.
have for you today.
Thank you very much.
3 minutes, thank you. That concludes our general public comment session.
There are so many
At this
times
time,
that
social
you
change
just
is
excite
critical
me.
that members of the public have more
There are so many times that you just
to be
excite
heard
me and get my
by
blood
members
boiling.
of the
That was one of them.
public comment session will be held before the meeting of council on Monday, September 21st. Sign up begins at 12 noon on Friday, September 18th.
He was the last one. There's still a minute until 5:30. They couldn't have let him finish his sentence.
Please stay on.
No, the 3 minutes, they couldn't get somebody else in.
For sure.
Yeah, but they cut him short too. Like there was an extra minute. They could have let him finish his phrase. Like
From that moment.
If they really cared, they would be here to answer.
Honestly, these guys should be forced to listen to us for hours. Like,
Tonight, we have Imagine 2020, and so thank you for joining the City Council meeting of September 14th. The second Monday of most months, Denver City Council celebrates and aids in the implementation of Imagine 2020, Denver's cultural plan, by featuring a poet, musician, or performer at the beginning of the City Council meeting. Imagine 2020 will conclude at the end of this calendar year with a new iteration and name to begin in January 2021.
She's on here. She follows me. She said I didn't cede my time. She's got a civil rights case.
Integrating arts into daily life, making the arts more accessible and ensuring that Denver created to thrive. Visit denver2020.org for more information. This month's presentation is from Mike Coates. Mike Coates is a Denver native who grew up in Montello and has been producing and serving the Denver art and music community for more than 20 years. As a member of the group called The Food Chain, Mike has had the pleasure of touring the country, playing shows and recording with some of the industry's most impactful talent. Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Lauryn Hill, Khalid, Mos Def, Wu-Tang, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, and many more. Mike has produced and been an executive of many artists and projects, both locally and nationally. He serves the community by facilitating creative spaces for new and upcoming, as well as seasoned artists. He's assisted many nonprofit organizations, such as GRASP and the Thrive Foundation, to facilitate music workshops and speaking engagements focused on teaching young people about music,
But they can't listen to somebody
and
speak
finding
for
their
3
voice.
minutes.
His passion is using his artistry and influence to impact professionally and to impact change. He's also served as the VP of Operations for a cannabis consulting and compliance firm here in Denver, Colorado. Please welcome Mike Coates.
Hello, everyone. How you doing? Thank you for the introduction, Stacy. It's a blessing to be here in front of the board with an opportunity to continue to, shed some light and keep the conversation going on a lot of the social and racial injustices that are happening not only in our city but across the world. I'm just super blessed for the opportunity to continue to be a part of that and use art and teach young people how to find their voices and whether it's music or poetry or protesting, whether it's the war on drugs or racial inequality or taking care of homeless people and providing opportunities for young people. We have a lot of work to do, and we have a lot of great leaders, and I think that there's an opportunity for us to continue to lead as a state in doing so. So today, I would like to present you with a song and a video that I produced recently. It's had over 500 spins on KS 107.5 in the last few weeks, and is making its way all over the United States. Tonight it'll be featured on Monday Night Football on ESPN with the NFL, and it's kind of making its rounds. And so we just want to continue to kind of plant these seeds and find opportunities to heal in this creative spaces and spread our word. And so the song is called I Can't Breathe Again. It's featuring Amy, Shy Rico, Roman.
Anybody wish you had to cut the caps there yet today? Good. Cut the plastic. We're live right now.
Young people that have been hitting the streets,
Holy shit. More people came. I just want you to know that Denver rolls so deep. We get legal observers at city council meetings. Fred, you can come sit by me, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know Fred Hendricks, he's a hero. He's a lifer. This is the man, the myth, the legend right here. And in the meantime, we're going to watch a music video in the middle of city council. Because I can't breathe again. This mask is too tight. Take a picture, Candy. Oh, did they need to open the overflow room? There's not enough seating for everybody. They must open the overflow room. We need the overflow. Overflow? All right, sorry, man. I didn't want to ruin your picture. I was trying to get her to pay attention, but she wasn't listening.
Are they allowing anyone?
Yeah. You're allowed to. I'm live.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I think you'll need to open the overflow.
Okay, that's not happening at this time.
Huh?
I said that's not happening at this time.
So we're just gonna pack in the room then, huh?
I know, you said it's happening in there.
I think they're gonna pack it anyway. Hey, we're overflowing the capacity of city council chambers because they won't open overflow for us. Yeah. And so people are making their own answers by all means. I think that's a very logical answer.
Yeah.
Because they just said they would not open overflow.
Oh. So they're really worried about COVID, yet they won't open the overflow.
Yes, I did get the woman on camera saying she's not opening overflow at this time. So we're in city council chambers, folks. For those of you who are here with us live. Candy Sitabaka, our councilwoman, is present, but the rest of the city council members are currently watching a YouTube video that's going to be played on Monday Night Football from the comfort of their homes because they choose not to face the music or their constituents. This is my world today. Fred, when's the last time you had so much excitement?
Oh, not for a long time.
It's been a while, huh? COVID's got us down.
Yeah, they moved city council virtually after people started showing up. So like from March until June-ish, they were still doing them in person. And then after people started showing up, post George Floyd, I think they did maybe, yeah, I think they only did like 2 or 3 council meetings and then they switched, citing the pandemic as the reason for it. So.
Okay, well, this is our first rodeo, so.
Welcome in.
Yeah, thanks.
Look at all that space.
What is this sound on there?
It's horrible, isn't it? By the way, I'm just going to politely warn you that this camera is on that TV and it is fully recording right now.
Are we in the way?
So, no, just anything you say can and may be used against you at any time in life because people are assholes like that.
So no names. We all have aliases now.
And your face is...
I would not like to say star and I'd like a lawyer.
Your,
Star.
yours is the forehead that's in it.
Oh, get my forehead out. I didn't know.
And there's only 30 people here, so it's not that big a deal. No. By all means, Mystery Science Theater the fuck out of council. I'm going to have to go get meter money and a battery change, so I'll be back. But I'm also snarkily live tweeting some of council, which means I need to go get another phone.
I'll be back in 2.
All right.
That's what schools look like. Then public office buildings should look like schools. Be basic.
Oh, sweet. That's what I should talk. Yeah. Just a pledge.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible.
I used to say
Liberty and justice for all.
And then we honor Texas flag. Oh, wow. I often would just stand there by ourselves.
Here. Clark.
Actually here.
You have to be spared.
Ortega. Sanders. Sawyer.
It's wrong.
Torres. Council President.
Yes.
13 members present.
There are 13 members present. Council has a quorum. Approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes of August 31st? Seeing none, the minutes stand approved. Council announcements. Are there any announcements?
That's from my days.
Councilwoman Black.
Thank you, Madam President. I have 3 announcements. I first want to wish Councilman Flynn a happy birthday. I know this is probably the most fun thing you could ever do on your birthday is to spend it with all of us virtually. But we wish you the happiest birthday and hopefully Broncos will win. I also want to wish a belated happy birthday to Councilwoman Ortega, whose birthday was 2 weeks ago, and I did not know that until today, so I apologize for not wishing you happy birthday, but I sure hope you had a great one. And finally, I would like to say go Broncos. The game starts after 8 tonight, and wouldn't it be great if we could watch it? And we could hear that song. You care about football, right? 2020 presentation. Thank you.
Should have an easier time.
And happy belated birthday, Councilwoman Ortega, and Councilman Flynn, happy birthday today as well. And looks like Councilwoman Ortega, you have for announcement as well.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I kept on raising my hand on my screen. So I just wanted to mention that I do have one proclamation on the agenda tonight that is going to move forward on the consent. But I just wanted to acknowledge that this is National Preparedness Awareness Month. So that everybody who may encounter any kind of disaster knows that all they need to do is go to our Office of Emergency Preparedness to take advantage of the classes that are offered, so that if there ever is an incident that occurs, whether it's a natural disaster or man-made disaster, that you have your own plan in place and you're prepared for how to deal with that with yourself and your family. So just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Flynn.
Thank you, President. I think it's more important to know that today is also National Bean-Filled Donut Day. I think that's
This is what they talk about?
Somebody's my turn.
How important?
All right, sounds good. Happy birthday to all the belated and
This is seriously
birthday Councilman Flynn. We'll see when we can get to watch a little bit of that Broncos game. So continuing on, we have one last announcement tonight. Council was scheduled to hold a required public hearing on
Just like to keep it light before we vote to,
changing zone classification for 755 Country Club. However, the applicant has requested to withdraw their application, and council will be asked to complete this item. A public hearing will not be held, and we apologize for any inconveniences. There are, one last time, all right, seeing no more announcements. Presentations, there are no communications. We have one proclamation being read this evening. Councilmember Ortega, will you please read Proclamation 951 for us? Oh, we got you on mute. There you go.
I would be happy to read this proclamation. As you know, we have lots of employees in our city that took advantage of early retirement, and we're acknowledging one particular person, but a group of people from our library system. So proclamation number 2951, recognizing the service of James Jeffrey and Denver Public Library employees, retirees, to the city of Denver. Whereas James Jeffrey served the city of Denver for 35 years, beginning in 1985, and built his career assembling critical historical resources and teaching new audiences about the discovery of history. And whereas James's career at the city brought volumes of significant historical material, increased participation and volunteerism from diverse communities, and valuable expertise to Denver Public Library's Western History and Genealogy collection. And whereas when James began his career in 1985, there were 17,000 volumes in the genealogy collection, and today, 35 years later, there are over 70,000 volumes representing countless personal stories about the history of the West and its inhabitants. And whereas, as a steward of history, James Jeffrey has presented a vital resource to future generations, and he leaves a remarkable legacy of discovery, storytelling, and history preservation. And whereas, among the programs James has pioneered at the library are making records available to various formats, making them in various formats, including electronic. Those records include the Black, White, and Hispanic communities, the Denver Obituary Indexes from 1912 to 2016, Colorado Marriage Index from 1858 to 1939, Colorado Divorce Index, 1858 to 1939, Denver Marriage Index from 1902 to 1984, and 1861.
Someone gets mad at Candy for being started.
Of the Colorado Territorial Collection. And then 1864, Denver and Arapahoe County taxes, burials in Riverside, Fairmont, and Crown Hill, and the recreation of the Old City Cemetery. Whereas James expanded these resources to the wider audiences to allow more equitable access to genealogical research and connections to history through his contributions to local and national genealogy societies such as the Colorado Genealogical Society, the Colorado Council of Genealogical Societies, and in founding or strengthening the following groups: Black search groups, genealogical search groups of Hispanic America, Hispanic Genealogy Society of Colorado, Olivama Lopez Twisher Hispanic Heritage Society, Jewish Genealogy Society of Colorado, and the Colorado Chapter of Professional Genealogists. And whereas the same passion he has exemplified in his colleagues retiring from the Denver Public Library, who have contributed, this is amazing, 640 years of institutional knowledge and have made our city's library a reliable and valuable asset to Denver citizens. These individuals are Jacqueline Jones, Dennis Ochoa, Stephen Arupo, Gianna Gorick, and I apologize if I'm messing up some of these names, Anessa Kaplan, Phyllis Hyland, Jeffrey Christopherson, Joan Hansen, Mary Anderford, Hannah Miles, Marcelino Valdez, Michael Brandt, Rich Reese, Therese Medina, Therese Medina Soria, Sherry Spitznagel, Chris Gorgie, Stephen Two Eagle, Stephanie Two Eagles, Alana Walker Vaughn, Louise Carson, Stephen Schneck, Lisa Flan, Stephen Divide, David Bustamante, and Hoy Drummond Geary. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Council of the City and County of Denver that the Council of the City and County of Denver recognizes and extends sincere gratitude to James Jeffrey and his colleagues on their retirement with the Denver Public Library and for their dedicated service to the people of the City of Denver and their vital work in fostering knowledge, education, discovery, and history in our city. Section 2, that the clerk of the City and County of Denver shall affix the seal of the City and County of Denver to this proclamation, and that a copy be transmitted to James Jeffrey and each of his retiring colleagues.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We appreciate that. Those were a lot of names. You did great on that. Could you please make a motion to adopt it?
I move for the adoption of Proclamation 20-951.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. Comments by members of the council? Councilmember Ortega.
Thank you, Madam President. I did practice those names on a couple of occasions, and I apologize. I kind of butchered a couple of them. I just want to say thank you to all of these retiring librarians from our library system. This is a lot of institutional knowledge walking out the door. And we all know how critical our libraries are to our communities, especially now during COVID. They've played a vital role in continuing to provide hotspots and continuing to make sure that people have access to their varying resources. But the work that James has done is pretty phenomenal, and I wanted to just call him out because he's actually someone that I was working with in assisting me to do some of the genealogy research on my family. And for any of you who have not undertaken this and logged on with 23andMe and Ancestry.com, a lot of those are connected back to the Mormon Church. And I understand James will speak in a few minutes, but I hear we are second to the Mormon Church in terms of the volumes of material that we have in our library system. And that wouldn't have happened without the hard work of James and his colleagues that work beside him in assembling all of those records, so that when any one of us go to look up, birth records, marriage records, any of those things that are now archived, it's so much easier to do it because you can just go to the Public Library and find those records and find more information on these things. So I just want to say a huge thank you, muchísimas gracias to every one of our dedication to our city and our citizens for the incredible work that you have done. And you do this, I know that we are working with the community, our libraries.
Take one, share one.
That will be replaced with other folks. But thank you for your work. And that's
Thanks, man.
Hey, share me this one. How does the last one?
But I just want to amplify what you said about not just the
Told you we're gonna have fun.
extensively in a lot of my research, to the entire library staff. They are short of the National Archives and for
You didn't know, folks. Council's not here, but the people are.
hopefully they benefit from those who I look forward to continuing to work. And congratulations to both of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. And seeing on our hands, congratulations to the library.
Don't you not give me
The library was the hub that united our community prior to COVID. And you handle so many different issues within the library. And that's who is about our
Look at you over here. Little snacks for lunch. We have 5 minutes for the proclamation acceptance, Councilwoman Ortega. We'll start the 5-minute timer, and we'd love for you to introduce who you're here to accept the proclamation.
Yes, we didn't invite every single one of them, obviously, from night, but, and you will get a copy to each one. But I did want to see if James Jeffrey is, in the queue, so we could call him up to speak on behalf of himself and his colleagues on the timer. I think we were looking and staff was indicating to me that he's not, and the attendees were looking one more final look. He was not wanting to be singled out, let me just say that. And we wanted to acknowledge everybody, but, you know, I try to highlight somebody when I'm doing these, that just exemplifies the work that they all do. And so that's why, I had picked him, because, you know, we've all worked with many of these individuals, but this was someone that was, helping with something very special, in being able to provide that family history. So if he is not on, we can move on with our agenda. I just want to once again say thank you to all.
So I moved it back this way, and now I can just see the TV. That's good. I heard there was a bingo game.
I already got the mark off one of my squares.
The next proclamation for the record, Proclamation 962 recognizes September 2020 as National Preparedness Day. It's sponsored by Councilwoman Ortega as well.
From Business Arts Workforce Mediation.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
2856, Bill 21, approving a proposed regulatory agreement between the City of Denver and the Denver Housing Authority to support development and construction of rural market, providing grocery accessibility.
Oh my God.
And negotiating development. From Finance and Government, 2840, a bill for ordinance approving the mayor's reappointment and appointment to the Denver Commission on Control. 2849, a bill for ordinance modifying chapter 18 of the revised municipal code of the city and county of Denver to allow contributions to the health maintenance organization benefit plan to be implemented in 2021. 2876, a bill for an ordinance amending the classification pay plan for employees in the career service and for certain employees not in career service. 2877, a bill for an ordinance amending the classification and pay plan for employees in career service and for certain employees not in career service. 2884, a bill for an ordinance making a decision from and an appropriation in the wastewater management operations fund to make a cash transfer to the wastewater management division and fleet replacement fund. From Land Use, Transportation, and Infrastructure, 2852, a bill for an ordinance approving a proposed temporary easement between the City and County of Denver and Housing Authority of the City and County of Denver for pedestrian access during construction of 13 Water and Decatur Street and 2800 Weston Avenue.
2880, a bill for an ordinance relinquishing an easement established in the permanent easement recorded with the Denver Clerk and Recorder after section number 20200-238588, located at 5191 10th Street. 2882, bill for an ordinance relinquishing portions of the easements reserved in ordinance number 279, series of 1995, recorded with the Denver Clerk and Recorder after section number 9500-046347, located at South Phoenix Street, between West Alameda Avenue and West Dakota Avenue. From Safety, Housing, Education, and Homelessness, 2814, a bill for an ordinance approving a proposed second mandatory agreement between the City and County of Denver and the Regents of the University of Colorado to provide services to individuals living with HIV/AIDS in the Denver transitional area. Thank you. Council members, this is your last opportunity to call out an item. Councilmember Flynn, will you make the motions for us this evening?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you. Now I'll do a recap. Under resolution, Councilmember Segovia has called out resolution 891 for questions and 895 for a vote. And Councilmember Hines has called out resolution 728 through 735, 741 through 743, 838 and 839, 853 and 864 through 873, all for a vote. Under bills for introduction, Councilmember Segovia has called out Bill 849 for questions. Under bills for final consideration, no items have been called out. Under pending, Councilman Herman has called out Bill 285 for a vote. And the first item up is Council Resolution 891. Councilmember Segovia, please go ahead with your questions on Council Resolution 891.
Thank you, Madam President. Just wanted to get clarification on the extension of time for job creation means and how that impacts the project and the community.
Mute the sound.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. I believe that we have a staff member here to answer your question. Here we go. Go ahead, Dash.
Council members, Madam President, Councilmember Segovia, Madam President, the job creation, we put in Skyline Economic Development Funds, Skyline Housing Funds for the housing portion of this project, and some general funds for the housing portion. Under the Skyline Economic Development, there's a job creation, and so with the developer, the vertical developer now in place and ready to begin construction, closing on the loan is planned for the end of this month. We anticipate the job creation will be done much sooner than what is put in the extension before you. We just wanted to make sure we have enough of a cushion in case there were weather delays with construction. But the job creation should be created through the community public infrastructure project below the housing, which is the clinic project.
I think that does it for my questions.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. All right, moving on, the next item up is Council Resolution 895. Councilmember Flynn, will you please put Council Bill 895 on the floor for that?
Yes, Madam President, I move that Council Resolution 895 be adopted.
Thank you. Thank you for the second. Comments by members of council on Bill 895. Councilmember Segovia.
Thank you, Madam President. This is one we've had an extensive conversation about in committee last meeting, and wanted to make sure that we get a set of laws because I personally do not think that the argument that I and I think that's important.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. And we're getting quite a bit of feedback from the chamber, so I'm not sure if we can fix that on your end or our end.
Exactly, but we have to mute the TVs when she speaks. That's the problem.
Just want to talk about this contract with the police protection. understood some things that aren't really being talked about that have to be dealt with. Number one, the contract is not just no raise for police officers next year with a raise in the year 2022. The fact is that this contract is a pay cut for police officers next year. 3%. The elimination of premium pay for holidays that officers must work. We have to have 24/7 police officer coverage in the city. There was a 3% pay cut. It was designed to save us next year $5 million. That's the target set by the administration for the negotiations. And we met that target with this pay cut for police officers. So it's not just a no raise, it is a pay cut. It's the financial equivalent of an pay without pay, equivalent to what the career service employees are taking here in the city, 8 days without pay, and frankly, what members of council are taking, with one exception, are taking as a furlough this year to help with the budget. So that's the driving reason, among other reasons, for the PPA wanting a 2-year contract, because if we're asking officers next year, they wanted something at the back end of the contract. And so, yeah, we wanted a 1-year contract, but we weren't able to get that at the table. So nobody gets everything they want in any negotiation.
Except for the police.
So the PPA is to open up the contract next year, depending on what our budget outlook is for 2022. We are in similar negotiations with the firefighters union right now, and we've set a similar target for them that may result in a reduction for firefighters next year as well. I just want people to understand that this is a pay cut for police officers. It's also important to realize that City Council must accept our own responsibility for what we've heard a lot of complaint about, the lack of transparency, the lack of our involvement. The PPA fulfilled its obligation, contrary to some of the emails we've been getting. They fulfilled their charter obligation to notify us of their intent to open these negotiations. They sent us a letter on March 9th, and we failed to respond to it. So City Council has to accept our own responsibility for the fact that we missed the first couple of bargaining sessions. Yes, the administration should have reached out and said, hey, do you have someone you want to send here? But we did receive the notification. We failed to follow through. So this lack of transparency and the lack of us being at the table for the first session lays partly at our door as well as the administration. So considering all these things, I'm persuaded that this contract gives us the certainty we need going into budget talks tomorrow, starting tomorrow. We need to nail down these savings. Going to arbitration will put this up in the air and will make those budget talks a little more difficult. So I intend to vote in favor of this to secure the certainty for the budget for next year, and with the eye toward if we're in this situation a year from now, that PPA will come to the table as the other unions have done, and that the PPA has done on 4 other occasions back when the city was in a budget crisis. So having all those considerations and on balance, I think approving this contract is the best way to go. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Madam President. So 3 things. First, I want to thank Director Hanlon for reminding the council last week that sometimes we could believe what council thinks is in agreement with the executive branch, but unless we have a seat at the table, those understandings may or may not actually make it into a binding proposal. So I would say to my colleague, Councilmember Flynn, thank you. I totally agree that we have a shared responsibility. I know that when we have meetings that include elected officials, if that elected official or body continues to not show, I think I would need to reach out again. So I just want to make sure that when we're having important discussions like things that materially affect the budget, that we do, certainly we share some of the responsibility, but if we keep taking attendance and City Council keeps not being there, I think that if I were in the bargaining process, I would reach out and say, hey, where are you? Second, we've received mail from outreach from constituents who appear to be pro-police, who also wants to vote against this agreement. A quote, "It doesn't look like to me the police get anything out of it. Remember, they do protect us." Unquote. Unions. So I'm very interested in collective bargaining agreements for more. I think working families need more protections, and so I'm conflicted about considering a vote against CBA. A union representing workers in Denver. Just happen to wear a badge and a gun.
Just happened.
To help people in Congress, I reached out to multiple people in Denver's organized labor community. I received no.
I think that was a bootlicking.
I think it was.
Fighting for increased worker rights for all.
We're playing bingo, by the way. We're watching live. There are a variety of bingo cards. They all are different. Yeah. Yeah, there's a $100 top prize on this. No.
The idea of increased worker protections and
That's oh, well. Okay.
It's still entertainment.
It is.
Councilman, state of office, since because you already is it okay if I go to directory? Councilmember Sawyer.
Thank you, Madam President.
Do they just ignore candy?
Looked into this a lot, and even pulled the 2008 contract because I think that's the most historically equivalent in terms of time frame, right, and financial kind of stresses that are very similar to what we're looking at. I wanted to see kind of what the agreement looked like then, and what the agreement looks like now, and whether those two things are sort of equivalent, and they are. So I think that's a really good and interesting thing to note, right? That in a previous financial time like 2008, these agreements are very similar. That in that 2008 agreement in 2009, there was an MOU that was signed that changed the agreement around when it became clear that the city was in a continued to be in a financial crisis. So I think that's just important to note. That said, what we're looking at here is a situation where the 2021 police changes would essentially be the equivalent of what our career service employees took in 2020, right? The 8-day furlough, like Councilman Flynn said, and that 12 of us took in 2020, right? So what we're looking at in 2021 would be so that the police would take what the rest of our employees took in 2020. What we don't know, because we haven't seen the budget yet for 2021, is whether our career service employees are going to be required to take anything else in 2021. Are there going to be more furloughs? Is there going to be a cost of living accrual next year for our employees? We don't know. We haven't seen the budget. It comes out tomorrow. We're being asked today to vote on something without all of the information in front of us, right? Because if we are asked to do this and our employees are asked to take furlough days or are not going to receive cost of living adjustments, then it's not fair that we're going to approve something tonight for those officers in 2022 that the rest of our employees aren't getting. We are not dealing with a full deck of cards here. We don't have all of the information in front of us, and that's not okay. So frankly, I think that we should delay this a week until we have the budget in front of us, so that we have all of the information in front of us. I don't know why it is that we are being asked to do this tonight when we haven't seen the budget yet. It's my opinion that we should push this back a week. I'll wait to hear what my other council members think of that. But if we don't, if we aren't going to do that, then it's going to have to be a no vote because I can't make a decision without all the information.
Madam President, I've heard the practical arguments in voting in favor of the agreement and understand the rationale. I can't vote for this particular agreement tonight. Since to delay still be a no on it. For us to have a proposal in front of us to say $5 million in 1 year and then be on foot for $9 million the following year. This would be too difficult an issue to also explain, even to my own staff who are taking furloughs that officers aren't this year. I don't think it looks so good. I'm going to give it on the rule of tonight.
Thank you, Madam President. As I've said before, there are many fine men and women in the Denver Police Department. Our community is safe. They deserve to be paid well. Just as there are many fine women and men working for Parks and Rec, the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, Department of Finance, Community Planning and Development, and such a great city for people to enjoy, and it also deserves to be paid well. This is in a century of hope, a point in time, as we look up into the future, it's encouraging to think that revenue will miraculously jump back up to pandemic proportions, where money is flowing, we can be assured we can properly honor our workforce with the salary increases that need to be deserved. To assure DPD raise without giving all city employees is simply not fair. I would be far more inclined to look at a contract that says DPD salaries are increased as soon as our career service employees get the same benefit, instead of relying on a letter from the PPA, which I do appreciate, that they will come back to the table at budget. I believe more appropriate would be a letter from the city assuring the PPA that we will come back to the table when the budget allows. And so I'm asking both sides to return to the table and work towards an agreement that is more equitable across the board. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Fairclough.
So I'll be brief to my colleague's point to Councilman Cashman's well said. Thank you for saying that. I agree that everybody in the city plays a very important role. And to my colleague, Councilwoman Torres, I do not see a future that's bright. And given that we are going into the winter and we do not know what the impact of this pandemic will look like in our future, it's hard for me to sit here and say approve a contract that would make whole $9 million in the year 2020. And also, I just do not feel comfortable with the fact that, although to my colleague Kevin Flynn, I agree that we have to take responsibility. I also think that given that our chief negotiator has been doing this for the city, having been here for a long time, and city council has never been left out in the process, and this is the year that they chose to leave us out. I just don't feel good, and I feel that we have to approve this contract in good faith, and I cannot approve this contract in good faith. Although I do very appreciate all the men and women in uniform, especially in the police department.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll just say that I really respect the issues and the points that my colleagues have brought up on both sides of this issue. I'll echo what Councilwoman Sandoval just said and say I wish that we're not in this position right here. I think that everybody's brought up the complexity of this, and on top of that, we're in the middle of a community conversation about what policing should look like in our city and across our nation, and that complicates things. On top of that, we, as Councilwoman Sawyer mentioned, haven't seen the budget for 2021 yet, and things are not not good. And so I won't get too